Here's the deal. This isn't one of those polished, hyper-focused podcasts where you know exactly what you're getting every time. Nope, not here. One episode might drag you through a bizarre moment in history, the next might rip apart some current headline, and somewhere along the way we might end up talking about factory-made underwear lining like it's a matter of national importance. Because sometimes the weird stuff is the interesting stuff. This is The Binge, and today we're going wherever the hell this goes.
It's the Binge Podcast where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast. Come join us fast.
All right. So today we're talking about something big, not abstract, not subtle, not some quiet, creeping force in the background. I'm talking about a moment. One of those hard, violent pivots in history where everything changes whether people are ready for it or not. The Challenger explosion, January 28th, 1986. And yeah, you probably already know the headline version. Space shuttle, launch, explosion 73 seconds after liftoff. 7 astronauts dead, tragic, shocking, national trauma. But that version is too clean, too simple. Because what actually happened wasn't a sudden catastrophe. It was a slow-moving disaster that had been building for months, maybe years, while people in charge convinced themselves everything was fine. Or at least, fine enough. And that's where things start to get uncomfortable. Because Challenger wasn't brought down by some freak, unpredictable accident. It was brought down by a series of decisions, human ones, made by people who had data, warnings, and just enough doubt to hesitate, but not enough to stop the machine. All right, let's rewind a bit. NASA, mid-1980s. The space shuttle program is supposed to be routine now. That's the pitch. We've done this before. We know what we're doing. Launches are becoming almost normalized, which is insane when you think about it. Strapping people to a controlled explosion and firing them into orbit somehow got filed under standard procedure. And when something becomes routine, people start cutting corners. Not dramatically, not in ways that make headlines. Small concessions, little compromises, things that feel manageable. There was a problem with the O-rings, rubber seals and the solid rocket boosters that were supposed to prevent hot gases from escaping. Engineers had seen erosion on previous flights. They knew the seals weren't performing perfectly, especially in cold temperatures. And on the morning of January 28th, it was cold. Colder than any previous launch. Some engineers, specifically at Morton Thiokol, the company responsible for the boosters, raised concerns. They didn't just casually mention it. They pushed back. They recommended delaying the launch. But here's where it gets messy. There was pressure. Schedule pressure. Political pressure. Public attention. A teacher, Krista McAuliffe, was on board, and this launch had eyes on it. Delays were inconvenient, expensive, and embarrassing. And somewhere in that mix, the conversation shifted. Not, is this safe? But, do we have enough proof that it's unsafe? That's a dangerous flip, because when you frame it that way, uncertainty stops being a reason to pause. It becomes something you justify pushing through. The engineers hesitated. Management overruled. In 73 seconds after liftoff, the shuttle disintegrated in front of millions of people watching live. 7 people gone. Not because no one saw it coming, because the people who saw it coming weren't the ones making the final call. And that right there, that gap between knowledge and decision-making, that's where history tends to go sideways. Because Challenger isn't unique. It's just one of the clearest examples. Let's go back again. April 14th, 1912. The Titanic. Another unsinkable system. Another situation where confidence started to override caution. Multiple iceberg warnings came in throughout the day. The ship maintained high speed anyway. Lifeboats? Not enough for everyone on board because the prevailing belief was that they wouldn't be needed. That belief held right up until it didn't. Over 1,500 people died, not because the iceberg was invisible, because the risk didn't feel immediate enough to justify slowing down. Same pattern, different century. And if you want something closer to Challenger in terms of technical complexity, Apollo 1, January 27, 1967. Ground test, not even a launch. A fire breaks out in the cabin. The atmosphere inside was pure oxygen, something engineers had concerns about. The hatch design made it nearly impossible to open quickly. The crew, Gus Grissom, Ed White, Roger Chaffee, never made it out. Again, warnings existed, concerns were raised, but they were managed, rationalized, filed away as an acceptable risk, until they weren't. And that's the thread running through all of this. It's not ignorance, it's not lack of intelligence or capability, it's normalization, the slow creeping acceptance of things that should make you uncomfortable. The first time something goes wrong, but not catastrophically, you fix it maybe. Or maybe you just note it. The second time, it feels less urgent. By the third or fourth, it becomes part of the system. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Until one day, it happens in just the right way, under just the right conditions, and everything breaks at once. And afterward, everyone looks back and says the same thing. We had the data. Of course you did. The data is almost never the problem. It's what you do with it. It's whether you listen to the people closest to the issue or override them because the bigger machine wants to keep moving. It's whether you treat uncertainty as a warning or an inconvenience. Because systems, big, complex, impressive systems, have inertia. They don't like stopping. They don't like delays. There's always a reason to keep going, always a justification, always a way to convince yourself that the risk is acceptable, right up until it isn't. And by then, the decision's already been made. That's the part people don't like to sit with. Challenger wasn't a single failure. It was a chain. A series of probably fine decisions stacked on top of each other until the margin for error disappeared completely. And when that margin is gone, it doesn't take much. A cold morning, a brittle seal, 73 seconds, that's it. So yeah, this is about Challenger. But it's not really about Challenger. It's about how easily it is to drift into dangerous territory without realizing it. How systems that look strong from the outside can be quietly eroding underneath. How people convince themselves to move forward when they should be stopping. Because stopping is expensive. Stopping is inconvenient. Stopping means admitting something isn't working. And a lot of the time, people would rather risk disaster than deal with that. Anyway, that's what's been rattling around today. Pay attention to the small warnings, the things that feel off but are easy to ignore, because history has a habit of repeating itself. Not in the same way, not with the same names, but with the same kinds of decisions and the same kinds of consequences. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe.
Tune in right now. Got stories to tell, from the small to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, we laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat. It's the Binge Podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast. Right now, got stories to tell, from the small to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, we laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat. It's the Binge Podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast. Where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast. to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, we laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat, it's the Binge Podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast.